I made a mistake the first time I uploaded this video. I didn't add enough commentary, so it was deemed reused, low effort, and void of any value. I thought the video spoke for itself. And also I didn't know what I was doing, and what I did do took me hours, but it's fine. I don't want to spend any more time with Mr. Johnson than I already have. But if I've learned one thing from watching so many people in court, it's that mistakes have consequences, and you have to hold yourself accountable. So I'm gonna put my head down, move forward, and bring you those killer edits you didn't know you needed.
All right, we have Mr. Johnson here now. His audio is connected. Mr. Johnson, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. We are on the record then in the People of the State of Michigan versus Gregory Ernest Johnson. It's file number 21-20333-FH. Today's date set for a final pretrial conference in this matter. We are proceeding today by video conference. First, let me ask the attorneys to place their appearances on the record, beginning with Ms. Brenner.
Good morning, Your Honor. Sarah Brenner, Assistant Attorney General for the People.
Rhonda Underwood for Mr. Johnson this morning, Your Honor.
All right, and Ms. Underwood, where do we stand with the case today?
Miss Underwood goes on for a while here, and she's really hard to follow, so I'll simplify it. Mr. Johnson was charged with felony failure to pay child support, but the state's offering him a deal. If he pleads guilty to a misdemeanor today, they'll delay sentencing for 11 months, and if during that time he pays a minimum of $100 a month and manages to get his arrearages down to $8,000, he'll get a misdemeanor disorderly conduct. If he doesn't, he'll get the felony failure to pay child support. It seems like a pretty good deal to me.
Okay, Ms. Brenner, is that a complete and accurate statement of the agreement?
That's correct, Your Honor. He's to pay a minimum of $100 a month. He did not pay last month, so I do expect him to make up that missed payment as well.
I did pay.
The front of the court
Miss-
system is not showing
Miss
the payment at this time.
Underwood
So.
has the
Mr.
Miss
Johnson,
Underwood has
stop.
the receipt.
It's,
All right,
it's okay. It's okay, Gregory.
We're not gonna argue about this on the record right now. If the payment was made.
I will send Ms. Brenner the proof I have.
Okay, that's fine.
Mr.
I just
Johnson.
don't see it in the front of the court system yet.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. But that is the plea you're taking this morning, correct?
Yes.
Thank
we
you.
can't see you anymore, Mr. Johnson. There you are.
All right, Mr. Johnson, would you raise your right hand, please? Can't see you now, so if you have your right hand raised, please let me know when you have it raised.
Yes, it's raised.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury?
I suppose.
I need a yes or a no.
Yes.
You are Gregory Ernest Johnson, correct?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson, you've heard the statement of your attorney and the prosecuting attorney. Is it your intention to plead guilty today to count one, failing to pay child support?
Yes, I accept the plea.
Is it your intention to plead guilty today?
Yes, I accept the plea.
Are you satisfied with Ms. Underwood and the advice that she's given you?
I suppose.
Do you understand that the maximum penalty for this offense is up to 4 years in prison and or a $2,000 fine?
Yeah.
Neither the prosecutor, defendant, or anyone acting on the defendant's behalf has discussed a possible sentence with the court, other than as we've discussed it on the record here this morning. Is that correct, Ms. Brenner?
That's correct, Your Honor.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Is that also your understanding, Mr. Johnson?
I don't know. I didn't understand the question.
Other than as we've discussed on the record here today, no one has discussed a possible sentence with me. Do you agree with that?
With me, right? Okay.
No, with me. No one has discussed a sentence with me, other than as we've discussed on the record here today. Not Ms. Brenner, not Ms. Underwood, and not yourself. Is that right?
Right.
If a guilty plea is accepted, there'll be no trial. That means you're giving up the rights that you would have had at trial. I'm going to explain those rights to you now to make sure that you understand them. You do have the right to a speedy. Mr. Johnson, if you're going to interrupt me, I'm going to hold you in contempt.
I'm sorry.
This is not a funny matter. You have the right to a speedy public trial by jury. You can ask for a non-jury trial, and if the prosecutor and the court agreed, you could have a non-jury trial. You have the right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to have the prosecuting attorney prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you're guilty, and you do not have to prove anything. You have the right to be present at trial, to have the witnesses against you appear at your trial, and to ask those witnesses questions. You have the right to have the court order any witnesses that you have for your defense to appear at your trial. You have the right to remain silent during your trial and not have that silence used against you. However, you also have the right to testify at your trial if you wanted to testify. You understand, Mr. Johnson, that if your plea is accepted, you may be giving up the right to appeal issues that would otherwise be appealable if you were convicted at a trial.
Yeah.
You also understand that any appeal from the conviction and sentence pursuant to this plea would be by application for leave to appeal and not by right.
I didn't understand that.
Do you understand that any appeal that you might make from this conviction and sentence would have to be by application for leave to appeal and not by right?
Okay.
If you're hearing all of this for the first time, it's reasonable that you'd have questions. But none of this is new to Mr. Johnson. He's gone over and over this with his lawyer, with the prosecutor. He's just playing games.
If you are not a citizen of the United States of America, conviction of a crime can result in deportation, exclusion from admission to the United States of America, or denial of naturalization. Do you have any questions about any of those rights?
He's muted now.
Yeah, okay.
I didn't mean to mute. I don't know how I muted. How did I mute?
Weird.
Do you have any questions about any of those rights, Mr. Johnson?
Crap.
You're unmuted now, Mr. Johnson.
I'm about to get, and I'm not, I shouldn't be. I'm not on my headset though.
We can't hear you.
Well, I'm trying.
We can hear you. We hear you.
Oh, okay. Well,
Mr. Johnson, do you have any questions about any of the rights that I've explained to you?
no.
Do you understand that you're giving those rights up?
Yeah.
How do you wish to plead to the charge that on or about September 1st, 2018 through September 30, 2019, in the city of Adrian, County of Lenawee, that you did commit the offense of failing to pay child support?
I accept the plea.
If you want to plead guilty, you need to say guilty.
Do you want me to say guilty? Okay, fine.
If you want to plead guilty to this offense, then you need to say that you plead guilty.
I accept the plea.
That's not
Mr.
that's
Johnson.
not a guilty plea. So if that's all you're going to say, Mr. Johnson, then I'm going to continue your not guilty plea and we'll proceed to trial on January 25th.
I never entered a not guilty plea.
Yes, you
Mr.
did.
Johnson, there are two pleas available, guilty or not guilty. Which do you choose today? Guilty or not guilty?
They want the not guilty or the guilty, so that's
Well,
fine.
no, Mr. Johnson, it's a matter of what you want to do today. Do you want to plead guilty
it's
or
not a
not
matter
guilty?
of what I want to do. Shit.
Mr. Johnson, are you going to plead guilty today or not?
Yes, that's acceptable.
If you want to plead guilty, you need to say that you're pleading guilty.
Yes.
Your audio was not clear. What did you just say?
Yes.
All right. This is the last time I'm going to explain this to you. And otherwise, we're just going to leave the trial set. How do you wish to plead to the charge that you failed to pay child support?
Well, you determined that I was guilty, so yes, I am guilty.
Sir, the elements of the crime are you were ordered to pay child support and you failed to pay for whatever
My
reason.
income did not support that.
That
The
doesn't
judge
matter.
knows that.
That doesn't matter.
Well,
The-
he found me guilty, so that's where
He
it
didn't
is.
find you guilty. He's
Yes, he
asking,
did.
were you ordered to pay child support and did you fail to pay it? It's either yes or no. If it's a yes,
did
then
not.
you plead
My
guilty.
income did not support the child support.
Judge, let's just leave it on for trial.
No, I want the deal.
Then you need
Well,
to admit what you did.
Mr. Johnson,
Mr.
you can't-
Mr. Johnson,
Ms. Underwood,
You are
please allow me,
Mr.
Ms. Underwood.
Johnson, Mr. Johnson,
If you're going to interrupt and talk over a judge, at least say something meaningful that makes a difference.
you are
Yes.
confusing the issue. The judge found that the child support was appropriately set, okay? He
Which
found
it
you
was
could not
but
go
that's
back.
fine.
That is a
I
separate
get that.
issue
Okay.
than the criminal issue we have today. Now, did you pay that child support or not? If you did not, then you need to say
I
the
was
word
unable.
guilty.
No, I did not. Okay.
So is that a guilty?
We're not going further with this. The record is already not satisfactory.
I'm guilty of the circumstances that set this thing.
Mr. Johnson, please do not interrupt me. If you interrupt me again, I'm going to hold you in contempt and I'm going to give you 30 days in the Lenawee County Jail. All right. I do not believe that the record created in this case today to this point would appropriately allow me to accept a guilty plea. Mr. Johnson has not indicated.
Yes, guilty.
Mr. Johnson has not indicated a clear intent to plead guilty and admit to the facts that would support a guilty plea in this case. Trial is scheduled for January 25th at 9 a.m. If I don't already have proposed voir dire questions and jury instructions, I'd like those submitted by Friday.
Yes, Your Honor.
And we will proceed to trial on January 25th. There is a plea agreement deadline on January 23rd. So assuming that Ms. Brenner is willing to leave that agreement open, I will accept a plea up until that point. If Mr. Johnson decides that he wants to unequivocally admit his guilt.
Guilty. I plead guilty.
I've made my decision for today. If
I
Ms.
plead
Underwood,
guilty.
Ms.
You want
Underwood,
to
if
set a
Mr.
time for January 23rd, Judge? That we could check back in or not?
Okay, watch the prosecutor square. In just a second, you're gonna hear laughing off screen. The way she looks over, it's gotta be her kid.
I plead guilty today.
Mr. Johnson, I've already explained to you that you have behaved today in a way that I am not going to accept a guilty plea from you based on what you've said on the record here today. If you decide that you want to make a guilty plea, I would ask you to contact Ms. Underwood, have her arrange a time either tomorrow, Friday, or Monday to enter that plea. And if you show up and you answer the questions,
Do it.
Mr. Johnson, I've said it, this is the last time I'm saying it for you. If you interrupt me one more time, I'm going to hold you in contempt and sentence you to 30 days in the Lenawee County Jail. I am done. I've instructed you now as to how you can proceed if you want to enter a guilty plea. Contact Ms. Underwood. She'll make arrangements with my office. This hearing is concluded. Please log out.
Personally, I would have preferred a little more contempt. Maybe a SWAT team coming in Christmas Vacation style and hauling him off to jail. And who doesn't love a good perp walk? See you in the comments.